So earlier today, I put this video out about the death of Sam Foltz, the former Nebraska punter who died in a car accident on July 23rd. And on Nebraska's first game, we got a story later that night about how his brother's house was robbed. And whatever, I made this whole video about it and how it connects to the Moses theme, and there's a judge theme going on in regards to the death of Antonin Scalia earlier this year, Obama nominating Merrick Garland. There's a whole lot of stuff going on with the story. After I made this video, for whatever the reason, I looked it back up because I wondered if they had found the suspect in the story. And of course, they did find the suspect, and it ends up being this guy right here, Scott Davis. And, I'll leave a link of this video in the description so you can check it out. But in this video, I talked about how Sam Foltz's brother was named Jordan Foltz, and in gematria, which is the practice of coding words into numbers, and it is used by the Freemasons and people alike, and they script our news stories, they script our sports leagues, they put clues in movies, all kinds of stuff. And they use this system. And basically, when you write out Jordan Foltz, Sam Foltz's brother's name, it equals 141. And I talked about how almost a year ago, the 141st school shooting after Sandy Hook just so happened to be my aunt's brother who got shot, and he was the principal at Harrisburg High School in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It was also in Lincoln County. And think about that in regards to Abraham Lincoln, Lincoln, Nebraska, all of the civil rights, Civil War stuff that's been going on in the media. Anyway, the reason that this story stuck out so much to me was the fact that I had been talking about the Nebraska Cornhuskers and how they were connected to some type of Abraham Lincoln theme. Of course, Lincoln, Nebraska. We were getting all the stuff about the Confederate flag last year. In 2015, we had the Freddie Gray stuff. We had, Michael Brown was in 2014. We kept getting all these race-type stories in the news. And I had discovered a whole bunch of stuff in regards to Nebraska and how Nebraska Cornhuskers connect to Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War. And, it was at the end of September. I had literally just kind of started talking about this in regards to Nebraska only a month. I think I might have made a video about how it connects to Teen Wolf months ago, but I never put it all together. And I started making a bunch of videos about it. And then all of a sudden we get this school shooting in Harrisburg that involves my aunt's brother. I'm not related to this guy. I've never met this guy. Don't know this guy whatsoever. My dad's brother married her, so I have no idea. But, I truly felt like that story was put in the news because of the videos that I was putting out. And I know that sounds arrogant or whatever. I'm not trying to be arrogant. For some reason, I've never known anybody in my entire life that's been on a CNN news story. I've always wondered my whole entire life why a certain story is more important than another story. Why was Michael Brown and Freddie Gray more important than the other African American people who die every single day? And honestly, if you watch some of my videos, I've made a ton of videos how YouTube is giving my old videos copyright claims just weird times, They might wait a year and a half to give an old video a copyright claim, and when I look it up, it's always connected back to Freemasonry. So, this year, I've been talking a whole lot about the Nebraska Cornhuskers yet again, and I've been talking about the death of Sam Foltz like crazy, and then we get the story about his brother, and it just so happens to go back to Lincoln County in South Dakota. So, this guy actually from Lenox, South Dakota, also just so happens to be in Lincoln County, South Dakota. So He literally drove like clear over here in Nebraska to steal from Sam Foltz. I mean, it's possible, but it just seems kind of weird that I just made a video in regards to this, and I talked about how I think it's connected to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the shooting that involved my aunt's brother. Also, the same day that shooting happened was the same day that, I can't think of the guy's name right now, but he's the guy who killed Adrian Peterson's son. He was convicted on the same day that the school shooting happened. He was convicted in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I've talked a lot about how Teddy Bridgewater being injured is in connection with all kinds of stuff. With the death of Sam Foltz, with the death of Dwayne Wade's cousin, with the death of Colin Kaepernick not standing during the national anthem. So, it's not a complete connection, but I find it very interesting that it would even be in Lincoln County, South Dakota, considering Abraham Lincoln, Nebraska, the whole Civil War type theme that I've been talking about. And I wonder if it has something to do with the coordinates, 43 degrees north. Sam Foltz died 43 days before Nebraska's first game, where they beat Fresno State that equals 43. Nebraska had 43 points. The other guy who died in the car wreck with Sam Foltz was Mike Sadler. His name in gematria equals 43. Abe Lincoln, born on the 43rd day of the year. He died 4 years, 3 days after the Civil War began. And, look at the population that Wikipedia says. I've also made videos on Wikipedia and how Wikipedia is controlled by the Freemasons. And if you go in and change anything, there's somebody sitting on here all day long. So if you go in and change the population to 5,000, somebody will change it back within the next 2 hours. Now, who in the world is sitting on Wikipedia all day changing all of this stuff back? It doesn't really make that much sense. Anyway, population 2,111. It reminds me a lot of 211, and Sam Foltz was born on January 21st, which in most parts of the world they write it as 21/1, a lot like 211. He died 211 days after his last Nebraska Cornhusker game in the Foster Farms Bowl in Levi's Stadium, where Colin Kaepernick plays. Sam Foltz in gematria equals 112, the backwards to 11. He died 1 month, 12 days before Nebraska's first game, which is also 43 days. Also in the game, in the Nebraska game, I had talked about how the tribute that they did to Sam Foltz when they brought the 10 men on the field, the clock should have stopped at 13:03 or 13:04, and they ran it down to 13:01. I talked about how the word championship equals 131. Also, I talked about the word Super Bowl equals 131, and how I think the Nebraska Cornhuskers are connected to who's going to be in the Super Bowl, which I think the Indianapolis Colts. But it says on Wikipedia that this town is 1.31 square miles. So just interesting, the 131, it's in Lincoln County, also even on 43 degrees north, 96 degrees west even. The word Freemason equals 96. So, I don't know the complete significance of what's going on with this story. I also did talk about how it's connected back to Philadelphia in regards to my aunt's brother being shot. He was the principal at Harrisburg High School, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is where the Amtrak ends, and last year we got the Philadelphia Amtrak derailment, a whole bunch of other stuff. But let's just look at this story here. So, this is the guy who supposedly robbed from Jordan Foltz, Sam Foltz's brother's house. His name in gematria, of course, 33, the highest degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. He was also 38 years old, the story said, which is just interesting, talking about the death of Sam Foltz. Death equals 38. We've also talked a lot about how it connects back to the Alton Sterling Philando Castile stories Minnesota, where Philando Castile was from. Minnesota equals 38. Louisiana equals 38. I even talked about it in regards to Barack Obama after he gave his final State of the Union on January 12th. The very next day, he went to Omaha, Nebraska, and that was the same day that Lawrence Phillips, the former Nebraska Cornhusker, died. And then the day after that, Obama went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where Alton Sterling was from, and he gave a speech at McKinley High School. McKinley, the assassinated president, Philando Castile from Falcon Heights, Minnesota, and that is famous for Teddy Roosevelt giving a famous speech about carrying the big stick. Teddy Roosevelt became the president when William McKinley was assassinated, and he gave that speech in Falcon Heights, Minnesota, just days before McKinley was shot. And, you know, when you think about William McKinley being assassinated, also how it connects to the train stuff, and James Garfield, another assassinated president, he got shot at a train station and he died 79 days later on September 19th. And believe it or not, every time YouTube has gave me a copyright claim, it always points back to the date of 9/19. Also think about it in regards to Abraham Lincoln, another assassinated president. So we got McKinley, Garfield, Abraham Lincoln. The only other one was JFK, which, interesting, this year on November 22nd, it will be the 53rd anniversary of JFK being assassinated. Nebraska equals 53. Nebraska surrounded with a bunch of 53 stuff. And I mean, I find it super interesting. You know, just before the Super Bowl, they came out with the whole O.J. Simpson series, the White Bronco, and then the White Bronco wins the Super Bowl. And also back in February, they came out with the TV show with James Franco, 11/22/63, based off the Stephen King novel, the one where the guy goes back in time to stop JFK from being assassinated. That book was released on 11/8 of 2008, 11/8, 11/8, right? The word death equals 118. Also, this year's election is on 11/8. That book was also very interesting for the fact that the time travel date, every time he goes back in time, he can only travel back to September 9th, 1958 at 11:58 a.m. September 9th is a very significant day in the coding, the 9/9 stuff. In 2015, Queen Elizabeth became the longest reigning British English monarch of all time, surpassing Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria died 51 years, 15 days before Queen Elizabeth became the Queen. Also, September 23rd, the big day that Pope Francis went to the White House. You know, he came to the United States on his 923rd day as Pope. The very next day, he went to the White House at 9:23 in the morning on 9/23. 9/23 is the day that leaves 99 days left in the year. Pope Francis was 15 years old in the year 1951. I've also talked a lot about the theater shootings that have been going on, and think about Abraham Lincoln dying in a theater. The original one was the Batman shooter in Colorado. Anyway, Donald Trump also said that he was Batman at the Iowa State Fair last year in August. It was around the same time we got Batgirl dying. We got the guy who dressed up like Batman going around to hospitals dying. We also got the death of Morgan Freeman's granddaughter, and Fox News even showed the picture with Morgan Freeman and her at the Batman premiere. Batman in Gematria equals 51. Donald Trump is exactly 15 years, 51 days older than Barack Obama. Anyway, the reason that I bring that back up is just in regards to the theater shootings and the Batman theater shooting, thinking about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was shot 9 hours and 9 minutes before he died. The first president to die in office was the 9th president, He died on April 4th, 44. Obama, the 44th president. The next president to die in office will be the 9th president to do so. So the first president to die, the 9th president. The next one to die will be the 9th president, a lot like a 99. Obama's even 9 presidents after JFK. Obama, though, is only the 43rd person to be the president, so it could have something to do with Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or whoever is the next president. And remember, at the Charleston church shooting, Obama sang Amazing Grace. It was 9 days after 9 people were shot, and if you went from that date, 9 months, 9 days later, just so happened to be April 4th, 4-4. So, I mean, there's just a lot of foreshadowing to some type of presidential political assassination. Who knows when? I've been showing a lot of different stuff that all leads up to it. The exact time, the exact date. That's what we're trying to figure out. Interesting, though, this TV show comes out about this book, and I remembered that the book was all about September 9th, and that was the day that you could time travel back. So I guess just wanted to repoint that out. And there's something going on with that 15 and 51 mirror stuff. The day that the Los Angeles Lakers upset the Golden State Warriors last year, the same day that Nancy Reagan died, that was Kobe Bryant's 1,551st game even. Actually, I pulled up an old post where I talked about a lot of this, and the 51 stuff, I didn't even think about it until now, but literally, even Peyton Manning he last won the Super Bowl and he beat the Bears in his 9th season, and then he won again in last year, which was 9 seasons later, the 99. Also, the Panthers were 15-1 in the regular season, the 15-51 mirrors. Denver Broncos equals 151, 15-51 mirrors. If you read out 9th president to die in office, 15 and 51 mirrors. If you read out 9-9 in Gematria, 9-9 equals 48 the small way and 84 the big way. Donald Trump equals 48 in Gematria. Barack Obama was born on 8-4. Obama in Jewish Gematria equals 84. And even the 99th day in 2016 was 4-8 or also 8-4. So just interesting. I guess I never realized the significance of the 151s in regards to the 99. Also, I guess this is the 151st year after Abraham Lincoln died. So April 15th was the 151st anniversary of Lincoln dying. So there's definitely something significant about the 15 and 51 stuff and why Donald Trump said that he was Batman. I'm sorry for getting off on this story, but it just all reminds me of that and brings me all back to this, because it seems like all of this foreshadowing, and it's how it's connected to sports, all seems to be foreshadowing a political assassination. Also, today is also the 15th anniversary of 9/11. So I just wonder, in 51 days, it'll be November 1st, 11/1. 111 is a big number in regards to 9/11. 9/11, the day that leaves 111 days in the year. The word New York equals 111. So, who knows? I've also talked a lot about how my birthday, Teddy Bridgewater's birthday, Les Miles' birthday, we all are born on November 10th, which that is the day that leaves 51 days in the year. So just something interesting to think about. But let's get back to this main story that I was talking about Jordan Foltz being robbed, and this guy Scott Davis then being from Lincoln County and how it connects to my aunt's brother being shot. So anyway, the reason in the story that they said that they found this guy was because he got pulled over for a DUI on Interstate 80, and he had a gas can that had the name Foltz written on it. Wherever that is in the story, I know it's up there. But if you write out gas can in Gematria, it equals 27. Sam Foltz, the big deal about him is he wore the number 27. If you write out Interstate 80, it equals 79. Just like Foltz, just like murder, just like Lincoln. Pope Francis is even 79 years old right now. Remember I said James Garfield got shot, and then he died 79 days later on September 19th. He got shot at a train station. He got shot on July 2nd, which is 7-2 or also 2-7. If you write out William McKinley in Gematria, William McKinley also equals 72. And, you know, a lot of this, I'm telling you, it goes back to Pope Francis, and it goes back to the Philadelphia train wreck that happened on May 12th last year. If you go from the anniversary of that train wreck to the day Sam Foltz died, also a span of 72 days, also 2 months, 11 days, how interesting, you know? Pope Francis's 79th birthday was also 219 days after the Philadelphia train wreck last year. If you go from Pope Francis's 79th birthday to the day that Sam Foltz died, also a span of 219 days. This number, super special, super significant. Baton Rouge, Louisiana equals 219. It's even 7 months, 6 days. We got the Alton Sterling, Philando Castile stories on 7/6. Dwayne Wade left Miami and signed with the Bulls on this same day. And there's a whole lot of other stuff I could talk about that in regards to Pope Francis, but I'm just not quite sure what it exactly means. It's even connected to Queen Elizabeth. This year, the 219th day, 8/7, or 8/7 is normally the 219th day. It was the exact halfway point of Queen Elizabeth's 64th and 65th anniversary of being the Queen. Also, if you went from 8/7 to the day Pope Francis's 3rd anniversary being the Pope, a span of 219 days. Anyway, the reason that I mentioned that was because in this story, the Harrisburg High School where my aunt's brother supposedly got shot, to where the story said this guy was from, Lenox, South Dakota. Notice on Google Maps it says it's 14.6 miles no matter which way you go to it. Which really stuck out to me because I talked about, I think I said that, excuse me, they were from Vermont, but their mom is from Vermont. I'm not so sure if they were from Vermont originally, but if you go from the Philadelphia train wreck to the Vermont train wreck, it's also a span of 146 days. And a whole bunch of stuff in regards to 146 as well. There's lots of examples connecting back to Philadelphia. For example, Allen Iverson equals 146, Larry Brown equals 146. Also, Prince of Wales equals 146. The Fresh Prince is from Philadelphia. United Kingdom equals 146. So, hopefully I didn't lose you. There's just a lot of very interrelated stories. And I'm trying to show the significance, but there's a lot of information. It does get confusing if you haven't been following what I'm saying. I'll try to leave some links in the description you can check out. I'll leave a link to the blog so you can follow some of these stuff. The problem is I didn't make this blog until probably a year and a half or 2 years after I started making videos. So anyway, in regards to Lincoln County then in South Dakota, it was founded on a date numerology of 127, the Nebraska Cornhuskers in their 127th season. A whole bunch of other stuff with that I'd mentioned in my earthquake video in regards to the number 56, but just pointing it out, Abraham Lincoln was also the 16th president. The word DUI equals 16. That's what this guy supposedly got pulled over for. The 16th prime number, 53, the number corresponding to Nebraska. Mike Riley equals 53, born in 53, Nebraska equals 53. If you write out Lincoln County in Gematria, it equals 60, just like Lincoln, Nebraska, just like Abraham Lincoln, the guy who supposedly robbed Jordan Foltz' house. With the V and S exception, his name even equals 60. And then he's from Lincoln County. One other thing I found interesting is that South Dakota is the 40th state, and it became a state on 11/2. And that's just a huge number around the death of Sam Foltz. Sam Foltz equals 112, died 1 month, 12 days before Nebraska's first game. Also, they reported this guy's name, Scott L. Davis, later on in the article. That equals 36, just like South Dakota. Just found that interesting, thought I'd point it out. And, you know, this video is way longer than I wanted to make it, but I just wanted to really point out the significance of the Lincoln stuff and how it's connected. In some way, they're foreshadowing some type of political assassination. It's connected to all these big people that are, Pope Francis, the royal family, the presidents. They've just been really seeming to build a lot of this up over the past couple years, even a little bit before that. But also, in regards to this being in South Dakota reminds us of Mount Rushmore that has Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln on it. And, look at the address or whatever, the nearest city, Keystone, South Dakota. I'm talking about how it's all connected to the Philadelphia Amtrak derailment in 2015 that just so happened to be on this Keystone corridor, the Keystone Service. That's what the Amtrak is called. And it begins in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And just think about that in regards to my aunt's brother being shot at Harrisburg High School. I'm telling you, there's something weird going on. Just wanted to point it out. I found that very interesting. Jordan Foltz' brother supposedly got robbed by a guy from that same area that I was talking about in my previous video. I'm going to stop rambling. Have a good one.